What is up, Terror Talk fans? It's your friendly neighborhood host, Jeremy, here with another arousing episode of the Terror Talks. And on today's episode, we are talking all about Nightmare's Gate Haunted House up in Douglasville, Georgia. So this is one of the final haunts that we visited on October 1st on our haunt tour of North Georgia, if you will. That's what we're calling it, because we visited 4 haunts back to back that evening. And this was the final one. We started off at Paranoia, then we visited Folklore Haunted House, and then we went to Containment, and then this haunted house, Nightmare's Gate, was told to us by the wonderful crew at Containment, and so we decided, well, we might as well finish out the night with one more. So we went out with a bang, ended on an even number with visiting Nightmare's Gate Haunted House. So this episode is all about our experience there, our 2021 haunt review for Nightmare's Gate. So let's just dive right in. Friday, September 24th, Nightmare's Gate Haunted House opened their doors to their first unsuspecting victims for the 2021 haunt season with their 2 haunted attractions, Haunted Hospital and Terror Falls. In our 12th year in Douglasville, we have expanded to 2 haunts. The Haunted Hospital will still be in the left side of the Southern Lane Bowling Center and will now be known as Haunted House Number 1. We also have purchased the old Dazzle skating rink location just the length of a football field up the road. This will be Haunted House Number 2. For the 2021 and 2022 season, Nightmare's Gate will produce the Haunted Hospital in House Number 1 and a smaller add-on show, Terror Falls, in Haunted House Number 2. In 2023, everything will be moved to the old Dazzle's location for a new, larger haunt experience so that their friends at Southern Lanes can grow. In Haunted Hospital, you will find the monsters of Legend, Havoc, Nurse Ratchet, and Goodfinger, and so much more in the abandoned hospital research facility. In Terror Falls, you will travel deep into the woods where the locals have gone missing, and the military search and rescue group has gone in and not come back out. You and your group of concerned citizens are going to venture into the swamp to bring them back. Good luck. So this was our first year getting to attend this haunt, and like I had said before, we found out about it from Containment. So another haunted house in the area was looking out for their fellow haunted house companions and told us about Nightmare's Gate. So they sort of directed us in the way of this house. I will say that we arrived at this location at about 11:30, so they were kind of starting to close up shop. There wasn't really a whole lot of people there. It was very much time to close it up for the night, but we got there just in time, and they were more than willing to let us go through the attractions. So that was kind of awesome that they were willing to do that for us. So, what did this pop-up house do for us? Did we get what we thought we would out of it? Was it worth the hassle to fly over to this house from a totally different one? Would the recommendation pay off? Let's find out as we break down Nightmare's Gate Haunted House. So for this year's haunt reviews, we have broken them down each into 6 categories. They are sets, costumes, makeup, and special effects, technical effects, scares, pacing, and actors. Each of these categories is rated on a scale of 1 to 5 screams and then averaged into an overall rating. So this new system allows us to give a fair judgment, if you will, for each of the houses that we visit. So because this particular haunt has 2 attractions, we do rate each one of them individually, put them together, and then get the average of the 2 to get the individual scores for each category. So not much has changed. We're still sort of doing it the same way. But this just gives things a little more of a fair way of doing it. So, let's just sort of jump right in. So, when you first arrive at Nightmare's Gate, you may be led to believe that you might have ended up in the wrong place, because that's what we thought when we arrived there. We saw this giant building. Our GPS was saying your destination is on the left, and we were very, very confused because the place we arrive at is a bowling alley. It's a very bright bowling alley, too, so you're like, okay, there's no way this is a haunted house. But if you look very, very, very closely down at the far end of the building, it's in like almost a little corner, like they don't have that much space, really. You notice some things that say haunted house, and I was like, okay, maybe that's it. Get a little closer, we find out it is indeed it. And I'm sitting there like, okay, there's 2 haunted houses. Where in the world is this other one? Obviously, now we know it's up the street in another building. So it is very easy to miss. And I'm glad that they're going to sort of be in their own facility next year, or in 2023, I should say, because that will give them a chance to create their own identity, not have to share with the bowling alley. And it'll be a lot less confusing, I think, if they actually have their own place. But aside from that, you look at both of these buildings, and there's nothing really pizzazzy about either one of them. You see a sign on top of both. One says haunt number 1, one says haunt number 2. It doesn't even say a title of the haunt. The sign that says Nightmare's Gate is literally just like a small sign on a window. It's not anything to really go home about. And honestly, inside both haunted houses, you've got these sort of pop-up gift shops. It almost seems like it resembles a pop-up Halloween store. So those ones that you will find periodically throughout the Halloween season that just sort of pop up out of nowhere. That's what it looks like. There's some stuff kind of strewn about, especially in the second one. The second one just looks like a darn construction site. The walls are bare, and it was a little disappointing. Now, granted, this was on October 1st, the beginning of the season. We're releasing this episode on October 23rd, so I'm hoping by now that issue has been resolved, but we really don't know. So first up, we have the sets. So for haunt number 1, we gave it a 5 out of 5. Haunt number 2, we gave it a 4 out of 5, leading to a total of 4.5 out of 5 screams. So in terms of the sets at Nightmare's Gate, there are some really, really cool things happening. When you first enter, you sort of enter this boiler room scene. Like there's steam, there's boilers, pipes everywhere, and it's really, really elaborate. And what was so awesome was that we got to go in by ourselves and really take in the scene, really go really slowly as we kind of entered that. And that one scene alone was very, very impressive. As you continue your way through, you get to experience even more of that. You get to see operating tables and the morgue and all these different type of scenes that really say, hey, you're in a hospital of sorts. Then you go into haunt number 2, and you actually feel like you're walking around outside on a campsite of sorts. I mean, apart from the obvious fact that you're not, and you can see the walls and whatnot, but they do everything else so perfectly. Like they built these like makeshift trees. They've got running water. Like there's an actual lake that you sort of walk by with a waterfall cascading into it. And we'll talk about that a little bit later. But there's all this shrubbery, and it looks like you're wading knee-high in some water. There's a cabin. There's a bridge you walk over. It's amazing. Really, really amazing. Now, the reason, though, that we gave haunt number 2 less than 5 screams is because there's one part of the house, and this is being super, super nitpicky here, but there were cables and extension cords and power strips just sort of hanging in midair. And you can see it very, very evidently. Now, again, this might have changed since our trip there, but upon seeing it, I was like, ooh, that is not a good look, because you can just see it right there with the naked eye, and it's honestly a bit of an eyesore. And because of that, it really kind of brings you down a little bit. It takes you out of the experience for a moment, and that's always a downer when that happens. And that's the only reason I gave it 4 out of 5. But, at the end of the day, it really didn't hurt it. They still got a 4.5 out of 5 screams on sets. For costumes, makeup, and special effects, both haunts got 5s out of 5s, leading to a total of 5 out of 5 screams. Both attractions have some really great costumes, makeup, special effects. Every actor was unique in their costumes, and nobody really was matching anybody else, and that's always a big nitpicky thing for me. And so, honestly, all I have to say is that they did a great job with that. The costuming and makeup team did a great job. They created unique characters all around. For technical effects, haunt number 1, we gave them a 4 out of 5, and haunt number 2, we gave them a 5 out of 5, leading to a total of 4.5 screams. The technical effects are always very important in the haunted house, and for Nightmare's Gate, they were definitely using them to their advantage in some places. So throughout both haunts, the attractions used a lot of really good lighting and sound to create this really cool ambiance that really made you feel like you were walking through a haunted hospital or a haunted trail. But there is one moment in haunt number 2, and we already talked about it sort of, but I have to give it some awesome props, again, because it was such an incredible effect. You walk over a collection of like docks or bridges as you walk through, and like they're really nice, sturdy wooden bridges. Like I said, they're kind of like docks, and you walk over water, literally over water. And I've seen running water like once or twice in a haunted house before, but never to this extent. Like, I was so impressed by this. And not only did you walk over water, you had a giant waterfall that was, like I said earlier, cascading into the water, and it was just constantly running, and it was so impressive. It was so on point. It really felt immersive. It felt like you were actually at a summer camp going by this beautiful waterfall and over this beautiful lake. I was just astounded. And you walked over this, not straw, but a rope bridge, and it was so amazing. I mean, the effect was done beautifully, and it's just one of those things that I can't help but be amazed by. Now for the scares. In haunt number 1, I gave the scares a 5 out of 5, and in haunt number 2, I gave them a 4 out of 5, leading to a grand total of 4.5 out of 5 screams. So throughout both haunts, there were some really great moments and some rather dull moments as well. Many of the really great scary moments happened in the first haunt. As I went through there was a lot, and I mean a lot of moments where I was just getting the crap scared out of me. People were coming out from everywhere. They were coming out of the woodwork scaring me, and I was just jumping at every little thing. Even things that had scared me before were sort of making a reappearance and showing up later in the house. And to me, I thought that was really cool that, I was able to get scared that many times, especially given the time that we were going. We were going very, very late. We were going right before closing. And they did this very impressive, amazing job at making sure I was still getting scared. Even though it was the end of the night, they were probably ready to go home, they made sure I got scared. Now, in the second haunt, I did not experience this nearly as much. In fact, there was a lot of dead space in this haunt. There was a couple good scares, and that's why I only docked at 1 point. There was a lot of really good scares going through there, or there were a couple good scares in there. One, very early on in the haunt, like, I was distracted by something, and they used that classic misdirection technique, and somebody came out and scared the crap out of me. There was one moment where I was in complete darkness. It was right towards the end of the haunt, and I could see absolutely nothing. And all of a sudden, I don't remember if the guy made a noise or if he jumped at me or what, but it was enough to just scare me to death. And I was just very impressed by that scare alone, because it was so simplistic, and yet it killed me. It had me on the floor. So for pacing, I gave both haunts a 3 out of 5 screams, which is a total of 3 out of 5 screams overall. So the pacing of the two haunts, in my opinion, was not great. I feel like both of them were actually pretty short, and in fact, when I arrived there, the lady at the front ticket booth was like, you probably won't make it through the first haunt and be able to go through the second one, because she said it took about 20-25 minutes to go through the first one. I did not feel like that was the case at all. In fact, I got through it in about 10. Now, granted, this could have been because I was by myself. It was the end of the night. There was not as much things holding me up throughout the house. It could have been that, but I don't necessarily think it was that, because, I take my time when I go through these haunts. Whether people are in it or not, I'm going to take my time because I want to analyze every little thing. And I analyzed everything, especially, like, I was going especially slow in the second one. Really taking my time, taking it all in, and I still finished it in under 10 minutes. And when the first one is supposed to be bigger than the second one, that's a problem. Like, for me, the length of the two houses just was not long enough. I feel like there could have been so much more they could have done. And granted, I don't want to get too critical on this, because it could have been the fact of the space that they were in. They could have had spatial constraints, and I don't know what those are entirely. And so that could be it, and I do realize that. But even when you have spatial constraints, I think it's important to figure out the most effective way to create a long experience as well. Whether that means sacrificing some really big elaborate scene to make a couple extra scenes in there to make the house a little bit longer. Sometimes you got to do what you got to do to, make things a little bit better. I mean, honestly, there was a part where you sort of walk on this trail outside for a minute. It's not really a trail, but you're outside for a minute. They could have put some stuff out there to sort of start it off, and I realize some haunts don't want to do that because of the weather and the elements and whatnot. But I think that could have gone a long way in, extending it just a little bit by having a little bit of an outdoor portion to it. So, unfortunately, that's why I gave it that part, the 3 out of 5 screams. Like I said, it's nothing against them. This is just based on my experience. Finally, we come to the actors and team. And team in haunt number 1, I gave them 5 out of 5. Haunt number 2, I gave them a 4 out of 5 for a very nitpicky reason, and we'll get to that. So in each of these haunts, I feel like all of the actors were really, really on top of their game. Like, the ones that were there were ready to go. But I do feel like they were both running low on actors. But like I said, I'm not going to hit them too hard on that because I did arrive, about 20 minutes before closing time. So maybe some were closing up shop, maybe some had gone home. There's any number of reasons they couldn't have been there. I mean, at the same time, I feel like on October 1st, you should have had everybody there because it's like the big night. It's October 1st. But who knows? In the first one, I feel like I got a lot of really good scares, a lot of good actors in there. And like everybody was very eager to do it. And same with the second one. But the second one where I had an issue was the lack thereof of actors in there because there wasn't a lot. And there was one particular moment that got me. And this was a pretty big one for me. There was this sort of puppet alligator in a corner. And I feel like if you have some actors in the house, that should be one place that you have an actor station. Because anytime you have those things, you want those to be utilized in some form or fashion. Like, that's why they're there. Like, if I'm going to pick a practical scare from an actor going boo to them using the puppet, I'm going to go for the puppet every time. Because I feel like the puppet is very, very important to the plot line of where we are. We're in this location that the puppet has to do with. In this case, we are at a camp, and the puppet is the alligator, so there's an alligator in the camp. So I would want to have that there. Well, they did not. And so the alligator just sort of sat there, dead like a limp fish. And that brought me down so much. I was very upset about that. And that was the reason that I did dock them 1 point on that for haunt number 2. Like I said, that's a very, very nitpicky thing. And it did leave me very disappointed. But, like I said, they still did pretty good. Even with me arriving at the absolute last possible second to come in there and experience the haunt. They did a great job. And everybody who was there was more than willing to, keep going a little bit longer just to give this last customer a stellar experience. So good on them. I really do think they did a great job. And other than that nitpicky thing, I have no major complaints about this haunt or the people that run it. They did a great job. So let us review, shall we? So for sets, we have 4.5 out of 5 screams. For costumes, makeup, and special effects, we have 5 screams. For technical effects, we have 4.5 screams. For scares, we have 4.5 screams. For pacing, we have 3 screams. And for actors and teams, we have 4.5 screams. So that brings us to a grand total of, drum roll please, 4 out of 5 screams. So overall, Nightmares Gate Haunted House was a fun experience for our team. We're very glad that we got to experience it. It was certainly a unique one for us. And the fact that we got to go through completely alone, that's not something we get to do every day. And anytime we do get to experience a haunt all by ourselves, that makes it even more fun for us. And we were very impressed with what we found inside. We're very glad that we got directed to this haunted house. So I'm very thankful for the folks at Containment for pointing us in the direction. I'm very thankful to the Nightmares Gate crew for allowing us to come in at the last minute. So thank you so much. I really do appreciate that. I recommend that everyone please go check out this haunt this season and go ahead and rate it for yourself. Play along at home and let us know if you agree or disagree with our rating, because we always want to hear what you have to say about it. And be sure to send your ratings in to us. So if you want to purchase tickets to Nightmares Gate Haunted House, here's how you can do it. You can purchase tickets when you arrive at the Nightmares Gate, if you will, or you can purchase your tickets online. The main show, the Haunted Hospital, is $25, and you can add on the Terror Falls show for an additional $10, so that'll be a total of $35. That'll get you both shows. Nightmares Gate Haunted House will be open on select evenings from September 24th to October 31st. Be sure to go follow their social media for more information and to keep up with them. We got all of their social medias listed down below. And again, remember to go check them out this season if you can, and let us know what you think. Play along at home. Maybe you agree with our rating, maybe you don't. And we would love to see some of y'all's ratings and see how you feel about everything. So please send in your ratings, send in your thoughts. We want to hear from you guys. But that is going to bring us to the end of the show today, where we talked about Nightmares Gate Haunted House, located in Douglasville, Georgia, and we covered their 2021 haunt review. If you enjoyed the episode, be sure to hit that like, comment, and subscribe button below. Let us know what you liked, what you didn't like. Let us know why you didn't like it, or don't let us know. I mean, that's fine too. Be sure to follow us on all of our social medias. They are listed down below. You can follow us on all of them. You can message us on any one of them if you want to get in touch with us, or you can send us an email to theterrortalks@gmail.com. If you want to support us a little bit more, you can go check out our Patreon and subscribe to one of the various packages we have there. All of the money that you subscribe with will go towards us putting out new content and allowing us to further the channel a little bit more. You can also go check out our website. It's located in the description below. That's where we will post all of our written versions of our reviews. So go give that a check out. I believe we also have the podcast. The audio episodes are on there as well, so you can go and check those out as well. So please go check that out. Finally, we want to thank you guys so much for joining us each and every episode. We can't do it without you. So we will see you guys next time on the Terror Talks. Be sure to check us out each week as we post new episodes. We love to hear from you guys. We love having you join us on all of the shows with us. So be sure to check it out. We are here, the Terror Talks. Until next time, though, be safe out there. Don't text and drive. And be excellent to each other. Take care, everybody.